Good morning, and thanks for joining us here at the SMITE Console League. My name is Finch, and I know it's been a while, but it's time to have some console action. PS4, Xbox, NA, EU, we're covering all of it. And to help me break it down, Melissa Taco Posada is right here next to me. Taco, we got some big matches lined up here today. I know you're excited.
And a lot of these teams definitely looking to try and climb their way up those standings, Finch, but it's not going to be an easy feat by any means.
It is not going to be. I think all of the regions have gotten more competitive. Let's take a look at the standings here at PS4 EU, where we're going to be starting today to give you an idea. Look how many teams are right there packed in together. 4-2 for Aerial Arise, OutCold 3-2, VGS Gods 3-3, MV3 1-4. I believe Aerial Arise and VGS Gods are off-stream game here today, so they've already played out and Aerial Arise came out on top. It's OutCold and MV3 that we're going to be looking at next.
And it's really important for MV3 because, as you can tell, already at the bottom of those standings, they definitely would need this kind of victory to keep themselves relevant with the rest of the league.
And I wouldn't have called OutCold dominant in PS4 EU in Phase 1, but I would say they were, head and shoulders above. It didn't look like it was a lot in contest for that first place spot. This time around here in Phase 2, though, it's a lot closer. So if this team is going to be able to hold on to that spot, be the representatives from PS4 EU again, they're going to have to really step it up to really create some space between these other strong teams.
One thing that I think I noticed the most with OutCold is that they are probably one of the better teams about looking to punish those who do make mistakes throughout a match. And I think the ability to kind of recognize those instances is definitely given OutCold a little bit of an edge here initially, but it's really just going to depend on how this early to mid game breaks down for me in my mind, Finch, because I think that is where we could probably expect MV3 to be the most explosive.
I think so too. A lot of the times when you're in matchups that on paper aren't even, I do think OutCold are the slight favorites here. Then the early games usually where you can expect the other team, the bottom team, to kind of step up. And remember, the early game here on console oftentimes looks different. They don't always do the split that we see in the SPL where they have the support roaming the map in mid a lot of the times. They often stick to that traditional duo lane. We'll see if both these teams elect to do that same thing here, as we're already in those picks and bans. Erlang, Shen, Thor, and King Arthur, no big surprises there. Zhonghui, Muzen, Ice on the other side, all makes sense.
I was actually curious as to whether or not that Zhonghui will wind up being banned, but turns out that MV3 don't want to take any sort of chances. There's too much flexibility being permitted through that Zhonghui alone, but Batz in that first pick selection choice here. And don't get me wrong, Fear No Evil, certainly a strong utility setup based ability in its own right, but it does kind of leave things pretty open-ended for MV3.
Yeah, I am a bit surprised as well that the Batz being picked here first overall for OutCold. It is something I think they can pilot extremely well. A huge controlling tool, even more so I think on console, but we'll see how well it works out for them because they gave up Set in the process to make it work. Pele and Set, tons of dive potential picked up here for MV3.
And that's going to be the first thing that I notice as well, Finch. It's going to be real tough, I think, for OutCold to kind of create some space against that Pele and Set with how heavy their mobility is. But a Morrigan pickup could be a really strong look here for OutCold. They already have that Fear No Evil to rely on, and I also just really like the idea of this Morrigan into the Pele and Set. That 6 seconds of invisibility can definitely be important for getting away.
Especially this Geb as well, when you're going to be dove a lot. Shockwave for disruption, Cataclysm for disruption, the shield to give you more survivability. I actually think these are pretty great response picks, and the Batz, in all honesty, is pretty good in that same scenario when you kind of quickly need to create a lot of dispersal amongst the enemy team. I think that these first 3 picks are not bad for OutCold.
And again, this is where I kind of draw things back for OutCold to that mention of how does the early and mid game break down for them, because while I agree that these are certainly 3 strong picks, if you can get them together to that mid game portion, that's the question here, because Geb, Morrigan, Batz, all gods that are fairly punishable throughout that early game phase, especially against the likes of a Pele and Set. But Chang'e is going to kind of draw things back for me here in MV3's composition, Finch, because I'm not as keen as with Chang'e, considering that I already see the Set and Pele locked in. That's just so much pressure into non-pressure.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by this Chang'e, right? If you are trying to hedge your bets towards late game, which all this sustain makes me think, I'd almost want to go someone that's a little bit more heavy that way, right? Like a Hell or an Afro. It is a bit odd that this Chang'e is the one they pick, especially because I would imagine that you want Set to go in the long lane here in this matchup. I mean, where do they want this Chang'e? It does pose quite a few questions as they pair it with the Hercules Hercules doubling down on sustain.
Okay, I really like this, though, pick up with the Hercules, because if you're going to have Pele and Set, you want to either be able to Wrecking Ball composition, as in your entire team can just dive, or you want to have enough crowd control set up from the rest of for the other 3 remaining picks that the Pele and Set can just go ham in the back line. Hercules is definitely going to be a huge chaotic factor here if MV3 are able to utilize it appropriately.
They've become a lot more all-in, though, for me. I think that you're right to identify they already were, so they might as well commit to that and try and be the best all-in team they can be. But now I'm starting to think that if that sort of all-in dive does not work, they're going to get run over by all this control, by all this burst damage here on the side of OutCold. They've even added this Chiron in. I'm a bit surprised by it, but should give them some mid-lane pressure if that's for just Lion, which I think it could be, as well as the nice cleanse to go along with it.
The cleanse is what I'm really looking for. That training exercise is so important here because there is a low amount of crowd control for the setup from MV3. They're mostly relying on their burst damage to carry them through that early to mid game. But I'm right there with you, Finch. If MV3 can't close this one out from a huge snowball early on, they're going to be in some trouble.
They certainly could be. Let's find out from the actual action. OutCold versus Mavericks. I'll get it down to Tom and Tully.
Thank you, John Finch, and of course Taco as well. Talking about the action, we're getting some of it right off the top. GunTeR Warrior slowed down here by Jose.
I love it. Resemblances of Aurora from the SPL, the Hercules support, and it makes a lot of sense when MV3 is coming into this set at 1-4. They got to roll the dice as to how to stop the powerful OutCold Gaming because they lost that previous matchup back in week number 3, and some very aggressive early game, and they also got some late game options between this Chang'e and the Vulcan.
Couple of different choices. Ooh, okay. All right, I'm interested there. I'll bite, Toli. Chang'e late game. Huh?
Yeah, it has good control for the early damage to cover that early damage coming from MV3. Hercules, Set, Pele, great self-sustain. You got some AoE sustain coming through from RayoMid. I think this is just an all-around solid composition as long as they can transition without any faults.
OutCold Gaming have played this monstrously just incorrect, unfortunately. MV3's Jose is level 1. He's kept players occupied for 1 minute and 26 seconds plus the pre-zero time.
And he stole it.
No way!
Stole it, picks it up, and he's not even done yet. He's going to continue to harass.
Look at this nonsense. So, sure, the Hercules is level 1. Look at the rest of his team. 2, 2, 3, 3. Now, across the way, the jungler is still level 1. OhMyJhox is about to hit level 3.
Yep.
I mean, this is a miserable position for OutCold to be in. Everyone, sans the carry, is down almost a full level.
He avoids the traffic as well. That would have been awkward if he got pushed under the Phoenix. But outside of the level difference, I'm also looking at the stacks of the Assassin's Blessing. Like, Jhox sitting at 18 stacks, only 1 stack.
Oh, my goodness.
Or now up to 3 from GunTeR Warrior.
First blood going to OutCold. About time. And with the first blood bounty, OutCold are able to shorten the 1,000 gold lead to only 500. Man.
Training a support experience for the jungle is the key towards a team's success. I think it's looking really good for MV3 right now. Even though they did give up the first blood, I think that they can transition very well with how delayed the speed buff is. Now we're going to see rotations from Jhox. As a result, he has timings of both timers, and he's going to make his presence felt in this solo lane.
Albmighty going to make it happen for MV3 as well. Nice little shot there from the red team. Solo kill, solo lane. So FataliTyxFire on the Ravana versus the Set. It's been a while since we've seen Ravana over there on the short side. The Set solo, I think, is one of the top solo laners right now. You want to go out there and fight, Set's going to be your guy. But FataliTyxFire pulling the Ravana over there on the short side. What is it about the enemy team that makes Ravana so exciting?
It's definitely not anything about the solo 1v1 matchup because Ravana doesn't win that one. It's more about the dive potential. Whenever you're feeling Chang'e, Vulcan, and you're dealing with an aggressive frontline, it's pretty easy for Ravana to counter dive and go undisrupted. So I think that's the main goal from Fatality is get into the mid to late game, look for those opportunities to stick on Kuroneko and Rayo.
Jose trying a second time for the enemy speed buff, this time collapsed on by 4 and likely to be put down just like that. Not as successful as his first go around. OutCold laugh, they were here, they were ready. Still, OutCold kind of trailing by that 800-ish mark, so they've got to find it elsewhere. Killing the enemy support, probably not really going to find it. He launches. Just Lion walks into it. Come on. No follow-up, but that's a come on.
Not the end of the world. I'm sure.
Still a come on, man.
He's probably kicking himself about that. A little bit off the mark was the stun, but gonna try with the Hun Batz.
There's an over the jump. Too far. The last hit won't be able to find it. Raidunw able to make some hot plays, but not confirm. So a nice look there. Hun Batz for the control, follow-up damage. One shot would have done it totally.
A few missed opportunities there, whether it was basic attacks, the jump was missed, the stun on the Morrigan side was missed, but also Chang'e missed that Wax and Moon as well. So there was a sloppy play from both sides.
I think the ultimate out of the Chang'e was jumped over. That was, I mean...
No. The jump was used to try to confirm the kill at the tower line.
Right, over the Waxing Moon.
It wasn't at the same time.
Word. Well, a look nonetheless. OutCold Gaming here, retreating under their tier 1 tower. Probably. Heavy aggression on the MV3's jungle side. Hercules wants to get involved around red buff this time around. The slime goes into the ultimate. JhoX in trouble. Finds an exit thanks to the ultimate. DragonKing's here, still looking for the fight. Is OutCold as Jose dashes away, no problem. And MV3 get the invade and then some.
A great look, honestly, to be able to invade that and keep punishing GunTeR that has still yet to be level 5. If that Fear No Evil was available, there would have been not one, but maybe even 2 additional kills to punish the aggression from MV3. And you got to lean on your strengths. When you're investing time with your Hercules to deny an enemy jungler these amounts of levels, and he doesn't have that impactful team fighting ultimate, you have that window to continue to invade. Now that he's about to hit level 5, the window becomes a little bit smaller, but the item differential should favor JhoX. His Assassin's Blessings will evolve first. He'll have more penetration, more movement speed, also because he's Pele. So there could still be opportunities to invade.
Well, right now, the early game, certainly neither team's got a forte. We saw some nice stuff out of Jose the first wraparound, or the first jungle spawn, so to speak. Secondary attempts have not been so fruitful, and even the attempt on the red buff, successful, but took a moment or two to really get there, and no kills after the fact. So OutCold still trailing by 1,000 gold. MV3 have done a good job of kind of trying to find some spots here in the early moments, but transition into kind of later plays. They have not. Sometimes teams are able to kind of snowball from this point forward. Not going to be the case. Instead, it's OutCold Gaming that are capitalizing. Jose goes down for the 3rd time this game, and very quickly, my tone is going to change on this Hercules Toli. I have no problem watching the support get no experience at the beginning for the harass play, and I have no problem watching the support trade out a handful of times here or there. 0-3 in 7 minutes, now you're behind a little bit, and especially as a Hercules, that's going to matter.
The mindset was there. There was no beats from just the Lion, so you tried to punish that factor. OhMyJhox will maneuver past that overhand smash, looking for a little bit more aggression, but red buff successfully stolen away. And the idea and the mindset of Jose was, okay, Chiron uses beads, he got knocked up by the Vulcan, wanting to escape, so there is a window to look for that pull push, but he went in 1v3, and as a level 4 Hercules, no real defense items to speak of yet. You're gonna just fall very quickly. I love what he did early game too, when he denied GunTeR so much farm, but now it's getting overzealous.
Great word, because I think that that's a play that works if Hercules perhaps did not start the way that we saw him start. And again, start's a good thing. It's not that these things are mutually exclusive, but as a Hercules trying to make these plays, you just need the numbers.
It's all about finding those windows. So, like, you're invading speed, there's a window. You're invading red, there's a window. If you're forcing a beats, there's a window. But you can't force that window. It has to kind of just naturally come out and present itself.
FataliTyxFire dealing with Albmighty.
This could be a kill, actually. He has no Ravana ultimate. He could potentially dive that with the Kingslayer, utilizing that healing.
Not the case this time around. Just going for the little bit of sandstorm damage. Blue confirmed by OutCold. MV3 trying not to be too aggressive here on the right side. And I like that call, Toli. As you said, the kill was there, might have happened, probably happened, but still not definitely. And when you've got a situation like the Hercules kind of trailing here, wonderful shield there by Geb, then you kind of want to limit those gambles, especially with the solo lane set Ravin. You're guaranteed to kind of win if you play safe. You can get more if you play aggressive, but I don't think that he had that credence just yet.
I agree. I think he also identified that Dragon King was around the corner, but he could just continue to rely on this skewer poke. It is a very short cooldown, looking for the beats, and he gets it.
Meanwhile, Raidunw gonna get taken down by Jhox. Jungle does a great job. Red buff stolen again. Big secure by the Hercules, who's really, I mean, one play I love him, one play I don't.
It's working out.
Jose working out for sure. Red buff stolen. Gold Fury will be transitioned into, and MV3 will take their little 1,000 gold lead and turn that into a proper one here. Objective down, 2,100 in the pocket at 10 minutes.
Very smart play, because there was 2 defensive ultimates. No ultimate. Oh, ultimate is actually used. Has some damage mitigation, but there's too many minions body blocking those basics.
Oh man, that was rough, and I love the timing. OhMyJhox's gonna die here.
Oh no, unlucky. I thought when he dove, he didn't have the ultimate there, but I think it must have just came up, because once the overhead kick was used, that made sense as to why this set would go in there. Only boots went from FataliTyxFire, whereas Albmighty did have the completed Warrior Tile Buy. So he had that power spike, but the 2 factors was the ultimate and then the minions intercepting the body block. Because if the minions weren't there, that Kingslayer has enough sustain to make that dive successful.
That was... OhMyJhox had the same conversation with himself that we had, essentially. He's like, look, I could have made that play earlier when I saw the ult burned, but I was afraid for my Hercules, because if I die and my Hercules behind them is a bad look, I just can't do it. MV3 make a play, and Hercules gets, you know, kind of back even after the red buff secured the Gold Fury, and Set's like, all right, you know what? Forget it, man. I'm going in, I'm getting that kill, and Fatality's like, bruh, my ultimate came up again.
Yeah.
So this is not the same scenario.
And to be fair, Albmighty is playing this very patiently. He's going in when there's cooldowns being used. The overhead kick was used, and he even calculated that he would have survived if there wasn't a gank coming through.
Geb in some trouble. Knock up into the Vulcan ult that overshoots it. Not even needed. 2 more kills for MV3. That'll even up the kill count real quick. And of course, it'll open up the red buff one more time. MV3 have not been shy about their approach to this game. Their approach to this game has been, let's annoy the jungler and take away the red buff every single time. 4 players dive just Lion. He eventually falls down. Right side, a whole new fight.
Oh, looking for the skewer over the top, and he does find a FataliTyxFire. Now has the damage to stack through and burn through the sustain of the set.
I love it. You were saying that Set was playing patiently, Set was playing kind of well off of the cooldowns. All of those sound like to me that Set's playing correct.
Sure.
Would you say so?
I would agree, yeah.
Is Ravin, what's happening right now, is this a cool character interaction that we're seeing? Can Ravin be kind of depended on to fight against Set in this long lane?
Once the mid game occurs, level 11 and 12, because that's when you're having extra points in your third ability to get the sustain to match the Set's sustain from the ultimate.
We've gotten used to seeing this character as a jungler, totally. He's really just become this big assassin here, thanks to Doug showing us the healing aspect that it allowed Ravin to show up in this long lane in the beginning, once upon a time. Now, you know, it's been a while, things change, metas evolve, and most importantly, player mindset changes. Are we seeing the revitalization of solo lane Ravin?
If there's a set, I could see it happening, but just against any other typical warrior like Achilles or maybe a King Arthur tier, you're not going to be making the same kind of impact. It's just really good about fighting into assassins in general, especially because it's not just Set, it's also the Pele.
Jhox is going to show up. FataliTyxFire can ult over the wall, chooses not to. Goes right for the fight. 1 versus 2. Probably a tall task, Anatoly. He's got teammates in the wings, but so does OhMyJhox. Here comes the rodent, and nobody has an idea.
Oh.
Big shot! And Dragon King will get the last hit for Jhox. The monkey trying to fall down. OhMyJhox on the run, can't get it. zz-Kuroneko finds the kill. Beautiful play there for the Vulcan.
At the end of the day, once the dust settles, it was only a 2-for-1. What a Vulcan ultimate from Kuroneko after the pushback coming through from Jose. And that 1v2 was looking actually pretty nice at first because of the Glad Shield procs that was being used. Maybe if he used that ultimate earlier to get more damage mitigation for longer, he could have bought more time for his teammates to bail him out.
I was thinking the same thing, that damage mitigation is really the big part of what's made me look at this Raven set matchup really nicely. You Kingslayer, I negate the damage, and we can penetrate.
Long shots coming through. Only connects one onto two different targets. The Fury's respawning soon, so any kind of poke you could do now could set up OutCold Gaming to find it. And they're not that far behind where they can't come back into this. One Fury, and all of a sudden, the game is even.
That's really the key there, is that the gold has been really closely watched by OutCold. They've lost every red buff. They've been on the losing side of a gold Fury. They've only gotten 2 out of the 6 totem of coups. But OutCold Gaming has somehow found their gold very similar. How is it that they've been able to kind of keep MV3 in check despite losing all these objectives? Because I do have a second point.
Well, keep in mind that when you are invading, you're not getting as much golden experience compared to your own side of the map as well.
It's a big point. Raidunw likely to go down here the entirety of MV3 here. That's a big Vulcan ult. Or was it, if no one was there to receive it? Damage onto Dragon King, and he'll go down as a death ball. That is MV3 collapses. One's already fallen. There's the second one. And Jose could be next. Zz will get jumped on. FataliTyxFire looking for kill number 4. But Bayo goes north, and Jose goes to the right. Rounded, pounded, kill number 10 there for OutCold Gaming. And that is a large play, because totally I ended that conversation talking about the lack of gold lead for MV3. And you brought up a great point about the fact that you're not making as much gold on the invades. That's a change that we've seen rather recently. But the experience is where OutCold was trailing. And you saw that. They were down about 2,000 gold, 2 levels per position. And now as we check the graphs after that 4-player kill, 4 players died in that exchange in OutCold jerseys, and they lose to Gold Fury because of it. The Gold Fury gives OutCold the 1,000 gold lead, and the team fight prior to that evened up that gigantic experience differential. So even if OutCold came out of there with just a Gold Fury, MV3 are still in the lead totally because they've got 2 levels on everybody. The fact that they go so far, tier 2 tower dive in, 15 minutes, whole lead thrown, OutCold are in control.
Yeah, they're looking to make a comeback now. Not having the jump available quite yet is GunTeR Warrior using the monkey bounces to teleport and gonna buy him enough time. Dragon King holding on to that shield to go in on the 1v2.
You love to see it. There's the jump on top. Oh my Jhox on the run here.
1.
There's the kick from Hercules intercepting right as the cooldown comes up. FataliTyxFire actually going to get turned on, and Jhox with the hot play. Dragon King could suffer the same fate.
What a save from Jose, because that prod onslaught was coming right around the corner. I could just feel it with that 10% cooldown reduction. It's a short enough ability on its own right, 10 seconds without any CDR, so an idea was there from Fatality. It didn't really recognize that the Blink Hercules was there to save the day.
Great stuff there from, honestly, both sides. Hercules kind of returning the favor. It's been a back and forth. Tennis was this weekend, but we've got a back and forth here for sure. 18 minutes, and OutCold Gaming and MV3 tied up here in all relevant categories. Before we saw a gold lead in one position and then an experience lead, but after MV3 goes a little bit too far, OutCold are able to return the favor. Back and forth. The volley of leads has been incredible here. 11 to 10, I think, is really the conversation. Just back, forth, back, forth.
Yeah, with how aggressive MV3 were in the early game, it was looking clean for them in terms of getting those the first Gold Fury, but then they weren't able to translate to the second one once they made that dive that you were talking about earlier.
Right.
That Vulcan ultimate was a big whiff, and if that connected a little bit cleaner, that could have probably swung the team fight in their favor. And you were mentioning how there was a level differential as well as the gold, as Zz should be able to get out of this one. And there's always momentum swings in SMITE competitive play.
For sure.
The higher level you are, the more valuable you are in terms of gold and experience once you die. So that gave the comeback potential for OutCold Gaming to punish MV3 from being too aggressive around their own tier 2 tower.
JhoX here, the only one maintaining the large lead, about a level and a half for the Pele player above the Hun Pansinator.
Beads without Waxing Moon being used. That should be a telltale sign of diving this tier 1 tower, and that will be the case. MV3 with 4-on-1.
Here comes the Hercules. Driving strike is good. Hercules will zone the player out of the ultimate.
He had Excavate. He didn't use it.
Just like that, Just Lion's out of here. Frenzy's popped, and MV3 looking for the fight after the fact. JhoX blinking to the backside, takes down Lion. It's a 1-for-1, both mid laners and caskets. Showing up is going to be the Chang'e, triple stun. Great play from OutCold, and here's the capitalization. One for the jungler and one for the carry. Two players running away. The carry, Chang'e, will be saved by the support Hercules. And down, Hercules will go. 4-for-1. Just Lion says, guys, there's 4 in my lane, and guys respond. Lion falls down, but so does the entirety of the red team. Great response.
The mindset was there from MV3, but the execution was sloppy. The Vulcan ultimate was a zoning ultimate that Just Lion was able to avoid, go back into the tower, get saved, and because he survived, this distracts JhoX in the backline to at least confirm the kill. At the very end of it, it's like, hey, if we put all this time and energy in towards getting the kill, let's actually get the kill. So JhoX did that, but because of his positioning, he wasn't available for the rest of that team fight for quite a while, and the sustain from RayoMid didn't help out JhoX in the 1v1 battle against GunTeR Warrior. We were talking about all this sustain coming through from MV3 between Set, Pele, Hercules, and the Chang'e. Well, there's anti-healing options from OutCold Gaming to deal with it. Pestilence, Brawler, Speedstick. It's looking really nice counters from OutCold Gaming.
DragonKingJagia, I think, was the key there as well. That shield changed Just Lion from a, oh, just get him, to a let him run. I think that call was made by MV3 under the tower, just say let him run.
And on top of that, the Excavate wasn't used to get the kill.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I think JhoX, or the communication was that, oh, JhoX is going to clean it up. I'll save my Excavate for the other fight, which makes sense.
Not a bad call.
But I think in hindsight, if you kill Just Lion right there, then you don't have to be so split up between tier 1 and tier 2 where your jungler is not assisting in the rest of the team fight.
I agree. I think that's actually a really great example of the how we say Monday morning quarterback, just the hindsight 2020. I think most players, probably ourselves included, make that call. All right, jungler, clean him up. I'm saving my Excavate. We're going to look forward. And then when you see the top-down view after the fact, you're like, oh, I guess you just should have killed him.
I like how he was holding on to it once he saw the Vulcan ultimate, but if I'm the support and I see my Vulcan miss the ultimate right there, and I know this guy is dead,
go for it?
I'm chalking that boulder. I don't care about my jungler in the back.
The knock-up, man.
That too, yeah.
You know, players, I think, forget about the knock-up until you get knocked up by it. The Excavate, a big deal coming out from the Herc supports. Obviously, not as much as the push-pull.
Nice Blink Cataclysm connecting onto 2 targets, forcing out the bees from RayoMid. Slow coming through as well, but no kills. This is all a result of controlling space towards this next objective.
OutCold have a 2,000 gold lead, and this is them making use of it. JhoX being chased, Blink used, no problem. Able to find an exit there. Top side, Raidunw in trouble. Turns around for the stun, but the rest of MV3 is here waiting, and that's going to be an issue. Chang'e turned into to avoid one shot. You love to see it. And the Vulcan over the top misses again.
Still having Waxing Moon, actually, if he wanted to use that to turn it around, but instead using that Chang'e to get away. Finally, the first casualty of this long team fight. Make it even 2.
JhoX trying to chase and will get Just Lion. JhoX, no punish there. 2-for-1. MV3 in the lead, or excuse me, take that little team fight for sure. Still not in the lead, though, as OutCold are able to continue their reign of terror here. 23 in, maintaining a 2,000 gold lead pretty healthily.
This is a pretty important Fury to control. The Primal Fury at 23 minutes to give yourself 7% damage amplification against the Fire Giant, also to keep yourself 7% healthier taken less damage from the Fire Giant in the future.
That's the side bonus for me. Right now, it's all about the gold here. This is a gold fury that if OutCold get it, this becomes a much larger game. There's a 3,000 gold differential between us, and that's very quickly spiral into a little bit more as you clean the jungle, etc. So realistically, if OutCold get this Primal Fury, they're probably up 5,000 gold, all said and done, after Primal Fury objectives after the fact.
Ooh, nice transformation there, RayoMid, without any defensive relics, but there needs to be a cleanup. JhoX has to go through this Magai's Cloak.
Interesting choice.
He's gonna get chased down. He actually could have turned that around,
Yeah,
but
he could've.
instead, he's assuming that, all right, if this guy's playing aggressive, he must have some kind of rotations.
Right.
Gep was around the corner, and we were making note of the Primal Fury gold value. Not as high as the Gold Fury value, and honestly, I would rather be down maybe 3,000 to 5,000 gold, but have the Primal Fury in my own way, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't saying I'd rather have the Gold Fury than the Primal. I was just saying the gold for the Primal Fury, almost more important at the moment. Big team fight here. GunTeR sets up 1, and we'll set up 2. Last hit goes to just Lion. 19 in total for OCG. 3 players on the bench. One of them are coming up soon, but the door is open wide enough for the Fire Giant in OutCold's mind. They have their carry here alongside the jungle. Half HP on the Fire Giant already. Albmighty has shown up. FataliTyxFire in chase. So the gold. The Fire Giant still... There's the leash, just Lion leaving. JhoX is going to be the target down south. 3 players surrounding. Knockup is strong, creating space. How do they get out? The answer is they don't.
No.
Kill number 20.
Unfortunate. JhoX did have Volcanic Lightning, but he was just holding on to it for a little bit too long. Great leashing from OutCold Gaming, keeping use of their power play. It was a 5-on-4 where they forced that issue, and they still have the numbers advantage, even after RayoMid has respawned.
FataliTyxFire chasing Rayo up top. They'll be greeted by a bunch of other mages. That is the least safe spot to back.
Right over the enemy sentry
Like,
ward.
not even like, just on top of the ward itself. That is the least, obviously.
There's
no
more
punishment
dangerous spots.
in the enemy fountain.
Yeah, like by the Titan. It's like you're playing tag with the Titan. But honestly, I like the way MV3 was able to stall out that Fire Giant for as long as they did. They had about a 5-on-3 was OutCold Gaming, trying to extend that towards the Fire Giant after those 2 picks, but not able to confirm it after the end of the day.
Yeah, not a nice look there whatsoever. OutCold Gaming have been... It's interesting. I think that OutCold are...
Good waxing moon through the stealth.
Easy.
Through the stealth, forcing out the beads.
Sure, beads are good. There's the overhand smash. And chase out of Fear No Evil. So, okay, I'm there with you. Wasn't my favorite waxing moon because I'm always sitting there waiting for the 4 or 5-man collapse. But it got the beads.
Yep.
It certainly got this kill after the fact, and it forced out the defense of Fear No Evil.
It
so
did.
a whole lot off of that one ability.
Yeah, Dragon King forced to use the shield as well. So the timing of this couldn't have been any better from MV3 as they're now going to try their best efforts at this Fire Giant, and they have 1 stack of the Primal Fury buff.
What they don't have, though, is a lot of objective damage traditionally. Albmighty isn't there. In fact, he might be nowhere.
Oh.
Gets out. Nice clean play. Blink will clean it up. Here comes Ravana over the top. Ultimate in tow. GunTeR wins the trade on the back end. JhoX can't find it. Now FataliTyxFire by himself. Might not get a kill here, totally, but already did the dirty work. Nobody on Fire Giant.
I think Raidunw can get a kill off of FataliTyxFire's aggression, so that's why he's continuing moving forward. Jose saving his heal for a little bit. The stun!
There it is. Easy after the fact. Just clean.
He wants more. He wants more.
Raidunw sneaking around, doing his best Loki impression.
Yeah, unfortunately, the range of the stun is a little too short to make that tower dive successful.
Wait for players to come off the tower. Fatality battling.
I felt like he could have stunned Rayo there.
I agree. The decision more towards the objective. Fire Giant down to about 40%. Everybody else dealing with these players on the top. GunTeR over the wall gets 2. And the team will get Fire Giant Well played, well split. Well done. 28 on the clock, 25 on the kill chart, and 73 in the thousands column here for OCG. 6,500 is the lead and a slew of experience to go. Totally OutCold now pushing up the right side. They're feeling good.
It was about a 3 or 4 minute scuffle over that Fire Giant, but it felt probably a lot longer than that to these players in the battleground. JhoX will get that solo kill, but it's up to the rest of this team to be able to defend this Phoenix.
Right side, still a number of players here and ready to go. Only 3 players able to play defense, and 2 of them are here and local. The other just making his way downtown now. Right side, Bird is toasted. Albmighty there by Fatality, who goes up down looking for the fight. The skewer immune thanks to the shield, and here comes the rest of OutCold Gaming. 7 in a row for Raidunw. Jose gonna go down? No, left to the background. Albmighty, however, falls to the hand of the solo lane Robin. Fear no evil up one more time, and GunTeR puts him down one more time.
Raidunw doing his best Hunbat's impersonation of GunTeR Warrior. Now with the right side Phoenix down, the Titan is exposed, but not having the DPS of just Lion because he fell in that little 1v1, but a good look in terms of getting the first Phoenix of the game.
Full reset here by OutCold. 1/2 hour worth of play. Let's take a look at those graphs. The story actually doesn't really show the story as much as I wanted it to, because the leads were so small. Look at all these up and downs here by like 7-8 minutes here. They're very, very small, but that was a nice 1,000 back and forth between our teams in the early phases. Real battle back and forth. And even then, when OutCold finally start to get a nice lead of about 3,000, MV3 are able to bounce it back. But this last exchange, team fight into fire into team fight into base push, that's been all OutCold Gaming. They find themselves up 12K.
It turns out CC greater than sustain.
Can I?
MV3.
Sure, yes, sustain. Also, just don't like the Chang'e.
I don't mind it. I just think that the early game didn't really succeed the way MV3 wanted it to, or at least the mid game did.
Okay.
The early game was good, the pressure was good, but that tower dive was just way too reckless. And on top of that, when they lost the 1v1 on the left side, that was like the go signal for OutCold Gaming to keep forcing fights on the right. Those 2 picks around those back camps.
Right.
MV3 were too clumped up. JhoX was on the left side. They had no awareness of what OutCold Gaming was planning on doing. So as long as they can group up in 5-on-5, this Chang'e becomes really valuable, especially with the utility Lotus Crown boosting the protections of MV3.
I'm just not seeing I'm just not seeing the damage potential out of your carry role. And I'm the first person to say your role means nothing. Give me the Dota system where we just say 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have a list of responsibilities. But I think the list of responsibilities that the carry needs is to provide the damage. And we're just not seeing it from the Chang'e. Maybe lack of opportunity. Oof. But he's not going to have an opportunity there. No, GunTeR jumps to the back line, shuts him down altogether. Raidunw does the same thing on the front line. Albmighty goes down as well as OutCold Gaming. Ding number 30. Big ultimate from the Hercules in the back. Larger ultimate from the Vulcan in the back. Everybody on OutCold close to death. Can MV3 clean this up? The answer's no. 1 will fall, 2 will back, 3 will back. That was the moment. MV3 are supposed to get the kill, get the pyro, clean out the jungle, but they missed those confirmations.
They did miss a couple of kills there. A good look in terms of Albmighty, or sorry, from FataliTyxFire to be able to stall his death long enough for the rest of his teammates to get away after getting this middle Phoenix. And this is the late game slow bleed out process that OutCold Gaming are applying towards MV3. They're going to set themselves up for this next enhanced Fire Giant. The control from GunTeR and then Raidunw to transform into GunTeR for a second Fear No Evil is making it too hard for MV3 to defend the way they want on their own terms. With all the blinks from MV3, 4 to be exact, they need to separate largely enough away from those AoE ultimates because it's getting too out of control for them. You can deal with healing with anti-sustain, but you can't deal with a Fear No Evil with crowd control reduction if you're stuck in the dead center of that totem.
Multiple players are getting hit by the Fear No Evil almost every time GunTeR looks for it. Usually when Raidunw is looking for the Fear No Evil, it's for one player. Really looking for that assassination style. GunTeR is spread the team fight. I'll kill one, but everybody's CC'd. And then Raidunw comes after the fact like, who still got beats?
Good poke there. Albmighty having to back on out there, and with that 5-on-4, that's all OutCold Gaming really need to force down that Fire Giant. Even seeing the Chang'e all the way on the left side of the map, FataliTyxFire going to teleport to defend the tier 2.
I like that call. Right side, trouble for Kuroneko already. Raidunw has gone the route, jumps up north, prevent the exit. And GunTeR able to take down the mid lane mage, no problem. Triple stun coming out from the gap. What a great play from DragonKing there. But now Raidunw gonna line himself up to be killed by Albmighty. Ultimate immune, GunTeR in trouble here. Just Lion gets one, but Albmighty gets another one. The set solo has brought his team back in the fray.
But keep in mind the right side, Phoenix has fire minutes trickling down, and that's where Just Lying is gonna go to get that revived Phoenix. DragonKing, FataliTyxFire, Just Lying. I think they're gonna go for the end here.
Albmighty really started to step up here at the late stages, Tolly, and really started to make some plays, cutting players down. Is it too little too late? The minions are seeping in. The players are coming up mid lane as well. Aegis is used. Titan barely touched. Here comes the rest of OutCold, chasing down Albmighty. Damage slowly coming.
Vulcan up in 5 seconds. A good Cataclysm, but no damage follow-up to confirm the kills because Albmighty is distracting Just Lying at the back.
Frenzy's popped and Albmighty are able to chase it out. OutCold can't do this. Great defense by MV3. Just playing their heels in the ground and sticking to it.
But the gold differential is starting to allow OutCold Gaming to build into either the 3K potions or selling the boots, picking up the swiftness potion to get a fully stacked 6 items. I don't expect RayoMid to give up this kill anytime soon. FataliTyxFire might have to invest in ultimate.
RayoMid dances away from the Fear No Evil. Can't get hit. Finds the last tick, but Vulcan provides damage to chase the bats away. Just Lion takes down RayoMid after the fact, and there he goes, taking down OhMyJhox after the fact as well. 2 for the mid lane, Chiron. GunTeR in trouble, surrounded by MV3, but OutCold responds. And off screen, Albmighty gets another kill.
Just Lying getting that Geb Shield, trying to run away. Cataclysm defensively. The charge back will get him into safety. It was a 3-for-1 at the end of the day. This Vulcan is trying to back, but DragonKing won't let him.
There's the rollout. The knockups will come after the fact.
This could be hit. 4-on-2. You got Fire Minions in the middle lane. Vulcan no ultimate for another 30 seconds. But they're going to go for the Fire Giant to get the guaranteed cleanness of it.
Fire Giant's probably the better call here. We saw how well MV3 was able to stop OutCold despite the large lead, despite the numbers differential as well. So I think this is the right call, going for the Fire Giant safe and sound. Of course, enhanced Fire Giant's going to need more than just 2 players. OutCold Gaming.
Okay. They were waiting for Raidunw to respawn before they actually commit to this Fire Giant. I don't know if I agree with that. Because now, by waiting for Raidunw, this also allows MV3 to respawn to contest this potentially. The middle Phoenix has respawned, so you only have to defend the side of the map that is closest towards fire. That was clean. No beads up there.
That's the one person that can't die.
Yeah, the Vulcan ultimate needs to be ready for either the defense of the Phoenixes or the Fire Giant steal even.
I'm ready. I am ready to lay into OutCold Gaming. I am ready to say, what a miserable mistake. You can't let that go. What a terrible look. You got to be able to take that that objective, be there, ready for it. Now MV3 can come and see. Kuroneko just walks down the wrong hallway and gets smoked. Now there's no problem with OutCold not doing that objective.
He didn't have us hall pass with him. He got caught out.
OutCold skipping it all together. playing hooky here in the mid lane. Just looking for the bird. They gotta go soon because Kuroneko's up 10 seconds, and the reason they're pressuring this mid lane instead of the fire giant is because they have a numbers advantage, and once he spawns, he'll have a perfect shot. Right here, here's the look, OutCold Gaming into MV3's frenzy. Kuroneko has spawned, backfires out of the base, looking for the ultimate, fires it off the top. Where are you shooting? What are you looking at? OutCold Gaming get a free at bat. They're looking at the mid lane Phoenix. OhMyJhox has to run out on the right side. Raidunw giving chase. The bird goes down. So does Jhox. 3 for none.
Oh, good shield onto FataliTyxFire to keep him alive for the moment. Healing from the Glad shield a little bit longer. Kuroneko trying to do his best effort to get away, jump off the mark, but that overhand smash will confirm it.
Pulled into the Titan. That's one thing. When all the players on the bench for too long, and this one's going to be all about OutCold. Half HP. Jose doing what he can. But that will be it. 39:45 on the clock, and OutCold take game 1.
62 total kills between these two teams. A lot of blood was spilled today in only game number 1 of this best of 3. And that last ultimate from Kuroneko, it made sense as to the target. It was onto just Lion, and he used the Aegis to avoid it. If that ultimate hits, I'm pretty sure he either dies or he's forced to back on out there. Without the DPS of the Chiron, the rest of the siege becomes more difficult.
I agree. Did they have the DPS of the Chiron?
They did, because he survived with the Aegis.
Great stuff there. We find the end. OutCold Gaming up 1 game. We'll be back after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the SMITE Console League.
In a match that was a little bit more back and forth than you might have expected, OutCold are the ones who come out on top. Welcome back to the SCL. My name is Finch, and I am joined by Melissa, you can't outrun my bow, Posada, right here next to me. Because you're wearing the Uller.
Oh, I know. I'm just going to let you roll with this one.
A big appreciate on that one, Taco. I'm off! Other fun Uller lines. He's got good lines. I love me some Uller. Either way, in that last set, OutCold, and I don't know, man, I wasn't expecting it to be this close. If I'm being honest, it was a little messy is how I would describe this game, especially that end. MV3 definitely let things get away from them, and OutCold were able to make the push. What stood out for you on this one, Taco?
I think it was just really tough for Kuroneko on that Vulcan to really have any sort of chance to kind of cast from that backline safety net, because OhMyJhox, Albmighty, Jose, they were all too preoccupied, I think, with just trying to disturb the front and back line, because again, this all kind of falls back to that wrecking ball mentality we kind of talked about when we saw this composition taking place in the picks and bans. They just didn't really leave themselves any sort of recovery points, I think, outside of just looking for that initial pressure.
Yeah, what struck me was that OutCold played as much wrecking ball as did MV3 in that game. I mean, there was a lot of times where there was really aggressive diving beyond tier 2s from the Ravana and stuff like that. GunTeR Warrior, I thought, on the Batz actually did look pretty good. We were correct about that pick being very disruptive, I think, coming into this one. one, and that was another big factor that helped him out. But either way, now it becomes on to MV3 to make those adjustments here in the picks and bans. Do you think this is a thing where it's execution, where they can go with a similar style and be okay, or should they go back to the drawing board?
It was a little bit of both in my mind, because I don't think that MV3 played that early to mid game as effectively as they possibly could have. I think that we saw a couple of unnecessary dives into T2 towers, T1 towers, and the like that ended up kind of setting MV3 further behind than where they needed to be in that earlier starting point. So I think I just want to see a little bit more reservation around, how feasible certain kills and opportunities really are.
Solid analysis by Melissa by the Chill of Winter Posada as Thanatos banned out by MV3 in their first couple of bans. That's odd. I'm going to be very honest with you. Maybe this is them wanting a Khepri first pick? Yep.
It is a first pick, and not only that, but I mean, I think you have a little bit more leniency if you are the first pick team to kind of have, not essentially a throwaway ban, but if you feel like Thanatos is that effective for OutCold, and it's such a strong early game presence, then Maverick or MV3 probably just don't want to have to deal with a Thanatos and the pressure that he can kind of just establish by appearing. But seeing the bots, I mean, this is just the prevalent theme right now for these two teams, is that bots first pick.
That's right. Both of these teams valuing the Fear No Evil, and I find myself agreeing. A very powerful ability that I'd want on my team anytime. Unbot's picked up, and Muzen Cobb is the response. For free mid pressure, I imagine they'll be giving that one over to Just Lion and adding the Erlang Shen. This could go over to Dragon King. This could go to GunTeR Warrior as well. I think there's plenty of flexibility with these very good first two picks for OutCold.
But this is why I was so confused to see this Bots, because
there's lots of good stuff still.
I mean, there was so much that was left on the board still to be taken. Vulcan kind of doubling down, and I guess I like the idea of having the meatball and the turrets to try and spam that Erlang when he goes in, but it's going to be real tough for that Vulcan to have any sort of safety outside of their positioning hugging that T1 tower line.
I do like this Odin, though. The cage is going to be pretty good into the Erlang Shen and the Muzen Cobb. Neither one of them have particularly good options for getting back out. Plus, it does shut down a lot of the healing that comes through from 9 turns Blessing. And they're going to add a soul. Someone else who I don't think is particularly great at making it back out. Maybe OutCold are pivoting into a team that's just okay fighting in it, and maybe that's the call.
But it is really strong structure push so far from OutCold Gaming. I mean, even the Erlang can rely on those in-hands. So definitely an attack speed-oriented build so far from OutCold that I think MV3 do have some decent tools to deal with, but one more time, this is kind of just going to be determined, I think, mostly by how well MV3 can actually maneuver through that early to mid game, because Vulcan, Odin, bots, they're all slam dunk picks and great AoE follow-up for that cage, but only if you get the itemization online where the follow-up damage is actually going to be felt.
There were some times I felt like the Vulcan ultimate was a little bit off the mark, even when the team had good setups. Maybe this Odin cage can allow for them to be a bit more consistent. I'm saying there were times it was off the mark, but 25k damage was up near the top in that last game. Can't give them too hard of a time for that one. As Poseidon and Chang'e banned away by OutCold, alongside an Ardio and Ares ban for MV3. Those are support bans, but I don't know. I would have been more towards banning away Gebs and Khepris in that spot, I think, than the Ares Ardio.
Especially since we already saw the Geb pick in game 1. So it's clear that OutCold definitely have a prevalence towards this Geb as is, but Chernobog is going to be the follow response here for MV3, and I actually really like the global aspect that Chernobog introduces here through the Living Nightmare. I think that it's going to be critical as well, because that Erlang could be shut down a little bit in the early game if you go for those ganks and then you're not expecting that Living Nightmare. Well, it'll just be something for OutCold to kind of forcefully remember in the back of their minds.
That could be strong. Erlang Shen suddenly rotating into a bunch of extra presence could potentially be bad for sure. We'll see how that ends up working, but I kind of actually like this draft. They've got 2 aggressive frontliners in the Bacchus, Odin, plenty of setup as well. This Vulcan should have a bit of a field day when you factor in the Fear No Evil as well. I'm expecting big damage numbers from this Vulcan. Meanwhile, a Vamana comes out to do the exact opposite of letting a Vulcan do free damage. He'll be sitting on him all game.
I would expect the Erlang and the Vamana to just try and make this Vulcan's life hell, and it'll really be up to the rest of MV3 to try and make up for the damage elsewhere until this Vulcan has a little bit more of that farming downtime.
That'll be what'll be critical for me as far as MV3 is concerned here, is making sure that this Vulcan is able to get to a position where he can comfortably do damage for the team. But you mentioned all the push power for OutCold. They still have plenty of that. Shoguns, Kusaris come to some mind. I mean, obviously there's no Fafnir, but Frenzy will do very well with this team. That could be potentially scary as well.
Probably the main downside for OutCold is that they have so much shred for those objectives, but they don't have the greatest secure in comparison to that Earthshaker from the Vulcan. So
like around objectives, yeah.
It'll definitely be important for OutCold to kind of be reasonable with their spacing on those.
That's right. Maybe feel comfortable on towers, a little bit more cautious around Gold Furies and Fire Giants as he move into game. Tom, take it away.
All right, we're back. I have recovered from Kuroneko's missed shot. Totally gives me a face like maybe I haven't.
Doesn't sound like it a little bit.
Listen, man, now he's on the Chernobog. One of your favorite characters. Is that true? I don't know. I'm just saying things at this point.
No.
You like to say his name, though, right?
It's all right.
Give us the real one.
It's the Chernobog.
There it is. I love it. Chernobog. He's out there in the middle lane. You prefer middle lane or carry Chernobog?
Honestly, I prefer carry.
Yeah?
There, because you want to get to the team fights a little bit better, and in that lane, you have the opportunity to get the most farm, both gold and experience. So getting 3-4 items available, probably the fastest out of any other role, would be best in that side lane, especially when you're pretty safe from ganks, having the dash to the wall and the dash opportunity again. Chernobog, not really the greatest in terms of fighting early around those mid harpies, so I would love to see him in the long lane.
Yeah, the Vulcan actually has a really good kit for dealing with that in that mid game. Warrior Blessing. Okay, just check it. 3v3 in the mid lane. Very classical 3v3, actually. We talk about, especially the Pro League, Roll Q has done a great job at kind of bringing the mentality of the players to the forefront. So shout out to the guys involved there. The 3v3 is spoken about all the time in modern Smite. We talk about the jungle support and mid lane kind of doing their thing, but rare is it that we actually see 3 players lined up looking at 3 players. Usually the jungle's kind of lurking or the support's kind of around the corner. It's a rare, just straight matchup there. So I'm sure we'll see a lot just of this over and over again. One shot, come on! Kuroneko lands that one for first blood. And MV3's Mavericks able to take that.
I think Jose hit a pretty gnarly belly flop there, hitting both members. Just lying, couldn't really do much, as he could only be a witness watching his Gep support fall. And that's what you need to do in whether it's the 3-on-3 or the 2-on-2. You got a Bacchus on one side, utilize that kind of engage. It's probably one of the best engagement tools in Smite.
OhMyJhox.
He's a very confident player.
He's a very confident player, and he better be for the types of characters that he's been bringing out. Set support, or excuse me, set solo, a little bit more natural, how you say, more, I hate the term meta, so, but, you know, just normal, let's say for right now. The Batz solo, a little bit kind of wonky. Certainly a character you got to have confidence to be able to bring out here in a competitive game. I don't hate it, Anatoly. What's your take on Batz solo?
I think it's a little cold. There's definitely hotter options, but
Yeah.
the turnaround potential is certainly there. If there's ever a time you want Batz, it's away from OutCold Gaming. What GunTeR was able to do with it, even Raidunw transforming into Morrigan, it makes sense to the draft as to snatching away the Batz. In the solo lane, you're not winning the 1v1 anytime soon. Even if you're like baiting Fatality to Fear No Evil him here,
Right.
maybe if like he dashes in and then the Fear No Evil under the tower, but if it's a little bit too, okay, he's not gonna get it. He should have done
The
it.
shell?
He
The shell? The shell?
I know, it's very random.
The shell?
It was very random.
That was, and I saw you go, oh no, now here's gonna get the kill.
Like, he was going to get the kill, and then the shell happened. I'm like, all right, you're not going to get the kill. But, like, he could have placed the Fear No Evil during the dash in behind the Vamana to get him closer towards the tower. And that was the kill potential that
That would've been
OhMyJhox missed.
I mean, if he didn't have a shell,
He would have still gotten it if
And
it
who
wasn't
has
for
a
the
shell?
shell.
Who has a shell?
FataliTyxFire.
So when we see teleport kind of left to the store, first of all, I love it. Teleport is the necessary crutch.
So even before seeing Albmighty's items,
Yeah.
as a Vamana soul laner, you know you're going to win the 1v1. So you don't have to go teleport because you're not going to get bullied out in the
Right.
1v1 anytime soon. So you can go almost any relic you want. You can even go Sunder. So like it makes sense as to why he went for a shell. You can even go for meditation if you want.
That's really where I was going, is that like to see lack of a teleport is not crazy outlandish. Oh my goodness. Another nice jump by Jose, but GunTer's here. Gonna hit the Fatalis effect. Nice ultimate, but this should be a dead big man. And it will be. Just Lion gets the last shot. Nice rotation from Rayo, just a little bit off the mark. Almighty gets the beads out of GunTer Warrior. Blink over the wall from the Dragon King. Nice up down.
The body blocks. Dragon King is so dirty with it. I love it. GunTer going to survive that one. A good route even to stop the aggression from Albmighty. No buffs to
Yeah.
strip away, looking like he wants to blink in,
Too
but
early.
he gets spotted out.
Too early. There's the stinger. He picked it up from before. Just Lion gets jumped on. One kill, and Just Lion will escape. Kuroneko shows up, misses everything, keeps missing everything, and then gets hit by the Vulcan over the wall. Last shot to GunTer Warrior.
Does get the kill before dying, luckily for him. His death was not completely in vain, but man, that could have been much cleaner. That was a 3-for-1 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Not looking too clean for MV3, unfortunately. And that was a sick play around the corner, Just Lion. He picked up the stinger after engaging onto Jose, had it still available for the Hun Batz out of Albmighty, but couldn't get away when you have the blink.
Rough stuff, man. Oddball plays from MV3. I like the mentality if this was 4 levels in the future. I don't want my Hun Batz solo diving with just boots onto the tier 1 tower in mid. If he had an item, Kuroneko going to be attacked from 2 different angles. Nice belly flop from Jose. Again, by the way. Support showing up. Yeah, I think it was just a little bit too early for the Hun Batz to like look for that play.
Sometimes you can't always predict it though. Like if you're clearing the wave first anyway, and
Yeah.
if you can find the proxy between tier 1 and tier 2, you have about a 20-second window to make a rotation anywhere you want, but that wasn't the case for Albmighty. And that's why we're seeing this experience differentials, because FataliTyxFire didn't rotate, didn't die, got a whole wave ahead of Albmighty, and even the back camps.
And you know what? Maybe I will kind of check myself, because I think that in other traditional drafts, I might feel that way. But with an Odin in the jungle, who you know his damage is very, very high right now and will fall off later, maybe it was the right time to make the play. Just a little bit cleaner might have been...
He didn't expect the cripple, that's
Exactly.
for sure. He wanted to make a play with the Fear No Evil, couldn't make it happen. The mentality was there, but the rest of his teammates were too scattered. And the positioning of it between tier 1 and tier 2, like what are you fighting over? Speed buff was down, so you're not invading that anytime soon. Even if you get a kill, are you pushing the tier 1 tower this early on anyway? You could be, I guess, with Kuroneko being a Chernobog, but he doesn't really have the attack speed or the items.
I think it opened you up for the red buff invade and a look at Gold Fury. I'm not sure if you had the time for gold, but you definitely had the time for the red. Just Lion going to be locked up here, but Kuroneko falls from the damage from Just Lion. Now it's a 2-on-3. OutCold still has the advantage. One goes down and it's JhoX. The other goes down and it's Jose. And GunTer yelling ole as he's 3-0-1, 4 out of 6 kills, has his name on it. And Albmighty in the 1v1.
Yeah, he's not winning that one anytime soon. Dragon King is the hero that OutCold Gaming need. This Geb has been looking so clean. The Cataclysm setting up the Stinger into the knockup, and now RayoMid gonna fall.
The backfire and a knockup, and it's Kuroneko versus the world.
He's dead.
He's gonna find a reprieve into the wall, knock up. Raidunw can't find the last shot either.
Setup was there. Needed to follow up with one last basic attack. We'll have to back anyway, and that's good enough, honestly, because Kuroneko died in the previous engagement, had to use the ultimate to assist RayoMid, couldn't find anything. He's already level 8. His opposition just lying as the Muzen caught middle, 2 levels ahead of him.
Gold Fury here for OutCold Gaming. Do the victors go the spoils? And MV3 look up at a 4,000 gold lead.
And this is how teams that have the experience in competitive play will stretch these leads and advantages. MV3, when they had the early lead in game number 1, took them a while to go for the first goal, Fury.
Sure.
And even then, it was a little rough around the edges. This time, OutCold Gaming, this is a team that's been through the ringer for a couple of splits now, or phases rather, and against a team that's 1-4 currently in week number 5, as MV3 currently is, you need to be this clean because it's basically a race.
Oh no! Bad totem placement. Almighty had this kill.
He still does.
No, he doesn't. Not with the ultimate coming
it's
out.
Close. He has no shell, but now the sustain
ultimate.
is a little bit
Not
too
with
much.
the ultimate. And that was just poor play. That was just that. Listen. Almighty, I'm here for the weird picks, buddy. I'm here for the last fam. I'm trying to root for you, but you gotta hit your stuff, my man. Post ultimate might be able to get the kill, but a bad Fear No Evil.
It was not clean, that's for sure.
You know, the first one. Does FataliTyxFire get credit for that kill? Because I think he killed himself. You know that first Fear No Evil that we kind of watched? That was where he could have pushed the player onto the tower. That was a good Fear No Evil that wasn't great. We saw better potential from our luxurious skybox in the sky. That last one, you can't place the totem that far away from the target.
Sometimes when you're making a blink play, you already have something in your mind as to where you're going to place the ultimate, where the opponent's going to be. If you're expecting them to continue to move into their tower, you want to place it as close to their center of their tower. Whereas if they're going to juke back into you, then that makes the ultimate look a lot worse than it really was. So it was a calculation, like a little bit of a coin flip as to whether FataliTyxFire was going to go back into the tower or juke back into the fight.
There's another blink play. It's beat there from Raya. Isn't enough. Got help flying in Marvel style. Here's the ultimate. Doesn't really do much. Dragon King laughs it off. But the gank is laughed off as well. Kuroneko able to help out RayoMid. Meanwhile, zz-Kuroneko is here, drops down the cage, looking for more on Raidunw, but now zz-Kuroneko's in trouble. Stinger on the ground, Just Lion picks it up.
Rayo's dead.
RayoMid chased on again.
Yeah, he slowed down, will backfire, but the chase from his teammates not quite there, knowing that the purple buff is still up. Jose trying to set something up with that belly flop.
Shield is down, shield is down, shield is down, shield is down. No one cares.
It's a level 9 gem, not enough damage from this level 8 Bacchus. Turnaround potential, it's GunTeR Warrior looking for something.
And finding it. Kill number 9. OutCold Gaming tripling MV3's kill count. 4,000 gold, 4,500 now in their pocket above the opposition. OutCold Gaming, this is how they would have preferred game number 1.
Definitely would have preferred it, but they're not complaining being up 1-0 in this best of 3. On pace towards getting more objectives now. Poking out Albmighty ever so slightly. This level 13 Hunbat still needs about 50 seconds for his blink to come online.
This is where I wanted to see him as well. Maybe even a level early, maybe a couple of minutes earlier, but because now we're stretching this lead now. So this 4,500. Hunbat solo is an interesting thought process because your jungle, it's all about early pressure in this mid jungle specifically.
Yeah.
And Hunbat doesn't do anything. He is my favorite Magikarp Gyarados in the game, I think. Where 1 to 4, I mean, if you get lucky with a nice slow jump and follow up, sure, you can talk to me about it. But let's be real, Tony. Fear No Evil is his first, middle, and last name. Right, that's
pretty much. But you have more access to farm in the solo than I think in the jungle. So by going for cooldown reductions, such as Albmighty's doing, 10% on the Blackthorns, probably going to be, Breastplate of Valor. So he already has 30%. So once you max out the overhand smash, it's already an 8-second cooldown. You're adding 30% CDR to that. You're getting 2.4 seconds shaved off of that. So that becomes a 5 1.6 second cooldown ability.
That's great in the lane. The middle lane, Dragon's getting chased down, no problem. And that's a little bit lackluster. But really what I was trying to get at is that, like, you can have your early game jungle with the Odin and kind of let him fall off, because you'll have a Fear No Evil machine later on out of the solo lane. So now that we're 12, like I said, 12, 11 minutes probably in my perfect world, we see Almighty rotate, but he's making these rotations now. The last 14 minutes of team fights have been without a Fear No Evil, which is a game-changing ability. RayoMid losing this one.
Oh, he really is.
I'm just the sheer, like, I'm gonna drop this turret. And Randy goes, what turret? One basic attack kills it? Like, who are you, man? Sorry, dude. This is our objective, Gold Fury on the minds of OCG here. But the split up, I think, of the solo lane on Batz is definitely interesting to watch from this point forward.
It's definitely a good way to cover your early game jungler presence. I like that mentality that they had going, but they couldn't really translate that to the mid game, unfortunately. GunTeR will get Fear No Evil. Gebshield will absorb some of that damage. Around the corner, rotating his FataliTyxFire.
Transition as the rest of OutCold Gaming start to show up and Jhox starts to show down. FataliTyxFire has made a rotation of his own, and that's going to help zone and all of a sudden just aggress on Kuroneko. He has gone down to 1 HP, and FataliTyxFire makes it 0. Raidunw's here to fight the monkey. No mana on the soul. There's the jump. And Almighty able to find a way out.
It's looking really grim for MV3 with only 2 players up. Make that only 1.
Oh, what?
16-minute surrender.
I'm...
Huh.
I am surprised.
A little bit surprised, too.
I'm a little bit surprised because that's a 4,000, 5,000 goal. Everything was going wrong.
Sure.
So perhaps you look towards the future and say, well, if we don't have it now, we won't have it. But that seems to be a shorter lead than I would have liked to see a team retire at.
Now, there's a point to surrender and a point where it's incorrect. In a game where you're about to lose the best of 3 set, you're basically conceding the whole set.
Yeah, just stick it out, man.
Just stick it out at that point. Like, if it's a game 1 in a best of 3, then I'm like, all right, you want to clear your mentality and go into game number 2 with a blank slate. That makes sense. Conceding when you're down 0-1 in a best of 3 just to eliminate the set entirely doesn't make sense to me.
Big picture status, totally. I think it also, if this is one of those times where, let's be, I'm not in the comms, this is just for argument's sake. If people are starting to get snippy with each other and like bark at each other,
possibly,
there are so many more weeks of competition. You know what? Fine. It's all my fault. Let's forget about it. We lose. We'll come back next week and start trying. I won't limit the team. I won't get on them for surrendering. It is what it is, though. 2 in the way of OutCold. Let's focus on the winners. They're taking it. 1 down. We've got 3 more matches here in the console league.